Let us pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor and blessings us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to leadership position in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interest you have committed to our charge. Amen.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Senator Isaac Mwaura. Order, Senator Isaac Mwaura, we had just started and your petition is on. So maybe you need to first apologize for coming in when your petition is just about to be dispensed with.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I seek your apology because I was busy serving Kenyans. I seek to present the following petition. Petition to the Senate concerning clearance requirements by the public service boards on application of jobs in Kenya. We, the undersigned citizens of Kenyans, and in particular the youth of Kenya, draw the attention of the House to the following. 1, that employment in Kenya is one of the biggest challenges facing youth, which is estimated to have risen up to 35%. Unemployment rates in Kenya refers to the number of persons who are unemployed as a percentage of the total number of employed and unemployed persons aged 15 years and older. 2, that education is regularly considered a key element for better employment opportunities, and Kenya has made progress in recent years with enrollment numbers for tertiary, technical, and universities increasing drastically. 3, that efforts to seek jobs are rendered difficult due to the various clearances by many applicants that they have to fulfill before getting the job. 4, that apart from academic certificates, parastatals and county employees require the applicants to provide clearances before getting jobs. And 5, that youth, especially the fresh graduates from both tertiary, technical, and university institutions, have an uphill task to get clearances from the Higher Education Loans Board, Kenya Revenue Authority, Credit Reference Bureau, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, and the Criminal Investigations Department, CID. And 6, that these clearances require the youth to commute and pay an average of 6,000 shillings as follows. CID, 1,000 shillings and 50 bob for withdrawal. I don't know who came up with that. HELB, 1,000 shillings. Kenya Revenue Authority, 1,200. Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, 1,000. And CRB, 2,000 shillings. 7, that majority of the youth seeking jobs cannot afford these costs, especially during the transition from their colleges and universities to the job market. 8, that we have made the best efforts to have these matters addressed by the relevant authorities, all of which have failed to give a satisfactory response. And 9, that the issue raised in this petition are not pending in any court of law, constitutional or legal body. Whereupon your humble petitioners pray that the Senate, 1, investigates the need to have clearance by the Public Service Board scrapped off. 2, ensures that government job applications are done for free. 3, ensure the government increases efforts to enhance employment of youth, including doing away with 16% VAT on fuel to increase manufacturing in line with the presidential agenda of the Big Four. 4, emphasis on the need for the government to focus on vocational and technical training, which are in line with Vision 2030 rather than academic degrees. 5, reduce the retirement age from 60 to 55 years, and your petitioners will ever pray. Thank you.
Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 231, I shall now allow comments, observation, or clarifications in relation to the petition for not more than 30 minutes. Senator Agnes Philomena.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I stand to support the petition. I think it's an important petition because it leads with a very important component of our citizenry, and that is our youth. And the unfortunate matter of unemployment, Madam Speaker. Kenya's unemployment rate is very high, at the quoted 35%, and with the promise of employment, especially after education, most of our graduates are becoming more and more disenfranchised with time, because when they start off, they feel that they will get something. As much as different educational policies have tried over time to divert members from white-collar jobs, for example, or seeking themselves to create their own employment, or indeed, Madam Speaker, even going into vocational and technical training, that route has not been so successful so far, even though I know we're making more efforts in that direction. So you're finding people who are coming out. And the worst thing, Madam Speaker, is that our youth are coming out ready for employment with very many dreams. And according to Martin, who was a sociologist, when you have these sort of dreams and you can't achieve them, then it leads to deviancy. Because, Madam Speaker, you will discover then other people actually just realize that they want to own a house and they will do anything that they need to do to own a house. Madam Speaker, the petition addresses itself to the difficulty in getting clearance and all the various bureaus that have been mentioned, for example, anti-corruption body, the Credit Reference Bureau, among all the others, and the paperwork that is required. It is true that that costs money and it costs time. And for many of these youths also, they don't also have the know-how of how to go to these bodies and get the various clearances that are needed. And that, again, creates a bigger burden for them. Where money is required, where consistency is required, where paperwork is required, you find that most of these are not able to really get to the necessary places in all time. The prayers are different. One of the prayers is that the retirement be reduced to 55 years from 60 years, and I think that is something that investigations will be done across the board. I know overall across the world, people are living for a longer time, so the retirement age, again, is questionable. You also find that some of those who have been in the market already also have specific skills. But, Madam Speaker, I think it's a question of skills. It's a question of getting a bit of diversity. And, Madam Speaker, it's also a question of actually analyzing and ensuring we have a clear policy on employment in this country, the way it can be projected, have various percentages for increments, Madam Speaker. Because we know in the Western world, in countries like Sweden, their unemployment rate is at 8%. We have bigger populations, but with clarity of thought in terms of policy, we should be able to address this question. So I support this petition, Madam Speaker. I think it gives us a chance to discuss as a Senate and with the various stakeholders we engage in to address this issue of unemployment and take care of our youth once and for all. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Pogisio Samuel.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to support the petition. Madam Speaker, at this stage is for us to encourage the petitioners in the matter that will help the youth to have opportunities, to help the youth in being considered and making the necessary policies and laws that will enhance the capacity of our youth and give them the opportunity to inherit some of the positions that await for them. But Madam Speaker, I just want to know at some point, then we'll make it clear. The one thing that I can say is maybe should really be encouraged is people to retire at a higher, at an older age than the younger age. I mean, it doesn't really, I'd like to retire maybe at 80 if possible. But Madam Speaker, we must support this petition. It's in good cause, and I hope that the petitioners, as they pray, will get considered for that. Thank you very much.
Senator Langat Christopher Andrew.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me this opportunity to support this petition. It's a very important one. And I want to say that it's sometimes very funny in our country that we lay a lot of obstacles to our youths, including experience of 15 years. Now it comes here, a finance factor, when we want them to obtain even certificates of good conduct so that they can get some, at least, payment. Coupled with the fact that unemployment for the youths in this country, and I mean unemployment for the educated youths. In fact, we are sitting on a time bomb. Our youths are so frustrated, and when we add these small things demanding a lot from them, in fact, it hurts them more. So I want to support this petition by saying, this House, we must make every effort in every kind to reduce the demands that every organization lay on these youths wherever they want to get something. So I want to say that there was also a program that was to go on, whereby they were supposed to be engaged on what we call attachment and internships. And during internship, they were supposed to get something. We want to encourage our county governments to engage them on internship programs and pay them something that after 6 months, even after internship, they are able to begin some businesses. We must have another very serious meeting to discuss about the issues facing our youths, particularly unemployment in our country. I want to say that this particular petition is very important, and it's an eye-opener for all of us to put our input because our youths really are suffering. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Sakaja Johnson Arthur.
Madam Speaker, I thank Senator Maura for bringing this petition. This is a matter that we've all been trying to deal with, and I think we should not tire in trying to make sure that our young people are able to get opportunities for jobs. There is no task we have that is more important, because there's no more pressing challenge in this country than the lack of jobs. Anything else we try to do, including especially security. The biggest threat of security in this country is not Al-Shabaab or ISIS or criminal gangs. It is millions of unemployed, disillusioned, disengaged, and hopeless young people all across the country. In Nairobi County, they're in what we call jobless corners, or as they say in Swahili, wako kwa mawe. Madam Speaker, we must do everything we can. But the reason why we have this crazy level of unemployment is because we're very good at legislating, we're very good at making the laws, but they're just not being implemented. Madam Speaker, in the last parliament, I brought a bill which passed an amendment to the procurement laws requiring that there must be 30% preferences on procurement for young people, women, and persons with disability. It is not being implemented. Madam Speaker, in the same parliament, I brought a bill on the National Employment Authority, which is supposed to deal with a lot of the issues which are being raised. The authority has just been set up, but there's so much lethargy. In every Huduma center today in the country, there is supposed to be a job center. There's supposed to be a repository of all our young people and their skills and what they have studied so that they can get placement. It is not being done, Madam Speaker. They're supposed to facilitate internships. If every government parastatal, we have around, I think, 300, every department of state, every county just took 50 young people, paid them 15,000 shillings every 6 months, you'll have a cycle of more than 30,000 going in and out, getting the basic workplace, professional ethics, understanding, streamlining their career choices, getting some dignity, and being able to start their own businesses. I don't understand what can be a bigger priority. And Madam Speaker, even as we deal with this petition, because I hope that it might be sent to my committee, there are tough questions that we're going to ask. We must ask. When you tell a young person that before you're even considered, not even before you get a job, before you're considered, and I like that Senator Maura has listed, you need to pay 1,050 shillings to CID. It means that you need to pay because you have not committed a crime, because you're paying to get a clearance of good conduct. Then because you paid your help, you're told to pay another 1,000 shillings. Because you have been tax compliant, maybe even you've never had a PIN, maybe even you've never had to pay tax, but you're told to pay, you're being taxed 1,200 to get that certificate. Because you have not been corrupt ever, you're being told to pay another 1,000 to ESCC. And then possibly you don't even have a bank account. Because you've not got an economic opportunity, you're being told to pay 2,000 shillings to the Credit Reference Bureau. Madam Speaker, that is absurd. That is, it is even hypocritical for a government that's trying to create jobs. Today, we are talking about government going to borrow 480 billion shillings, 480 billion, to build a road upstairs of Mombasa Road, from Senator Faki's county to Nairobi, as if there's not enough. If that money was channeled to all our counties to build, to industrialize, to build factories, so that young people can produce, then we'll be talking. As I finish, Madam Speaker, less than 38 years ago, China was poorer than most of the countries in sub-Saharan Africa. What did they do? Why are we not putting our minds to what it is that is done to make a country industrialize? Our focus is in the wrong place. We're putting money in the wrong places. And the more we build this hardware, we'll build rails, we'll build roads. But remember, it took less than 1 hour for the rail in Kibera to be uprooted by young people who are frustrated. Let us work on the software of this country. And the software and the engine that will drive our country is the young people of Kenya. So thank you, Senator Maura, for this.
Senator Halake Abshiro Soka, Please let us be brief. We have about 6 more people to speak on this if we are to save on time.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to also I rise to support this petition and to congratulate Senator Mora for bringing this. You know, the issue of youth unemployment, youth barriers to youth employment, all these labels describe a human being, a youth, a person with a name, and here I see a name that has been appended to the signature: Samuel Maina Kariuki Felicity Kamau. And so when we talk about youth, we are starting to reach a point where we're looking at youth as just a word that doesn't describe real human beings. So it's about time that we started to really look beyond the labels to the real people, the real human beings, the real young person with a name, with a family, with a place they stay that is really suffering. Madam Speaker, I know there was a time in the National Assembly, Honorable Faith of Nyandarua, I believe, brought something similar, and I'm wondering why already this hasn't been made into law and why we still have these issues of, you know, these authorities like KRA, the credit reference bureaus asking for money from our youth, when in fact I think a piece of legislation, I think a motion or something has been passed in the National Assembly. I followed that very keenly, so I'm really wondering why then we keep talking about these things in Senate or in the National Assembly, and then our youth continue to be thrown for barriers and obstacles, as a senator has said. Madam Speaker, statistics are so grim. In 2007, there were 22% of youth that were unemployed. Instead of us improving on that statistic, today, 2018, close to 30% of our youth are unemployed. So as we grow and we are told that our country has moved from being a lower income country to a middle income country, yet we are digressing with regards to measures that face youth. We now have 30% of youth out of work, yet in 2007, at least it was 22%. So I don't know what is going on. And now I know why, because if we require them to, first of all, start paying, and they're already, you know, guilty of perhaps, I don't know what it is that they need to clear their names before they even start looking for a job. Having to pay 1,000 shillings to the CID, I don't know why the CID, why is it that our youth are supposed to be guilty until they prove themselves innocent, as opposed to that being the other way around. They have to pay help, they have to pay KRA, they have to pay the Anti-Corruption Commission, they have to pay the Credit Reference Bureau. So what are we saying? That our youth are already criminals until they prove to be good citizens, and only then can they be considered. But do they even get the jobs after they've parted with the 6,000? None. I don't know anybody who has. So this is becoming a scheme to defraud our youth and not even support them to get what they deserve. Madam Speaker, we are told of all these, you know, public service board requirements. What public service board? And yet, each and every one of our youth who has gone through this public service, Madam Speaker, it's only 700,000 people that are employed by the government. Of the so many people that are, the 5 million people in employment are from the private sector. So, Madam Speaker, I support we should scrap all these requirements. I don't see why our youth should go to CID as if they are criminals, should go to EACC as if they economic crimes, they have any economic crimes they have committed. And I support this bill, and I think that the Big Four cannot be achieved if our youth continue to languish in poverty, continue to languish in unemployment, and continue to languish in underemployment as well. I support, Madam Speaker.
Senator George Ochilo Ayako Mbogo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to make my maiden remarks as a member of this wonderful House. I want to take this opportunity to thank my colleagues who were here to witness my swearing in, and I want to thank all the colleagues who made remarks about my being welcome to this house. This is a wonderful house. I have been out of active politics for a long time, and I must confess that when I returned to active politics and when I have succeeded in being elected to this house, it is indeed a wonderful house to which I want to do as best I can to contribute positively to the things that are being deliberated in this house. Madam Speaker, I want to equally thank the people of Migori County for voting for me.
Order, senators, kindly if we could quietly allow Ochilo Ayako to make his maiden speech. Majority Leader, order.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for protecting my time. I want to thank the good people of Migori for voting for me to come to this house. I equally want to appreciate my party for the ticket that was given to me, which enabled me to make it to this house. I do not want to leave my party leader behind, and of course, the big guns from ODM who came, took their time and campaigned for me in Migori County. And in this very context, I want to thank my colleague, Mheshimiwa Sakaja, for the good word he put in for me, and the entire leadership of Jubilee for agreeing not to field any person against me. That made it easy for me to make it to the Senate, and I'll forever remain grateful to Jubilee and ODM for working together towards this end. Madam Speaker, the petition before the House is about young people. I recollect in my days, which is not so long ago, we were accorded a very supportive environment. We went to university and not much was required of us. We were not compelled to bring money from our parents. We were accommodated without being charged. I know that we were given loans, but the loans were quite affordable, and that enabled us to go through school without the kind of difficulty that has been placed in front of the young persons. Now, I want to thank the petitioner, and particularly the Honorable Senator who has brought the petition. Young people continue experiencing difficulty in life. There isn't enough opportunity for employment, and as if that is not enough, we continue levying charges for services that we should, as responsible people, allow youth or young persons to access without any levy. So this petition is a petition that is timely. It is supposed to alleviate the difficulty that young persons experience in life when they are looking for employment. A society that does not take care of its young persons, a society that does not take care of its vulnerable members, continue to be eaten and ravaged by vulnerability, and that is a society that cannot talk about development. So this petition is a timely petition, as it will enable young persons to surmount the difficulties they already experience when they are looking for employment opportunity that is already scarce. Young persons do not have title deeds. Young persons do not have referees. And in order to access loans and opportunities for investment, young persons already have immense difficulty on their path. So adding this difficulty of levying charges that do not make sense is something that shows that we are not sensitive or appreciative of the fact that our young people need encouragement. There is a policy in place by governments, and our government has put in place a policy that there should be business or procurement opportunity reserved for young people, about 30%. But the way you see poverty, violence, and people falling prey to drugs and other vices, particularly the young people, is indicative of the fact that this policy of giving opportunity for procurement or for supplies to young persons, these opportunities are not being given to our young persons. I want to thank the petitioner and particularly the senator for bringing this motion, and I want to urge my colleagues in the Senate to do as best we can to ensure that the lives of the vulnerable young people in this country are made easier. With those very few remarks, I beg to support the petition, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Senator Kabaka, we only have about 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes, so you take 2 minutes so that the other two can also be able to speak.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. 2 minutes. I'll endeavor to do the best. Let me also congratulate Senator Mwaura for this important petition, which I support. First, I wish to state that it is not prudent and economic for the government to demand these kind of payments, which are too much, from our youth. Those agencies, I think we need to change the law in that regard without much ado to do away with the same. Otherwise, that doubles as double taxation, which is illegal under the tax law. These requirements of an experience for the youths whenever they are seeking employment is too much. I think the problem is that the system of education which we inherited from the British, we can say is not one of the best, especially in terms of the market job orientation. I think the focus ought to be in the way the Ministry of Education is preparing the syllabus. Our syllabus is somehow theoretical. And it's high time that our syllabus is fashioned or designed to be concomitant to industrial needs. We've talked about China and other economies, or the tech economies, which are doing very well, and why they surpassed Kenya at some point. This is because we are overemphasized. We have overemphasized on theoretical subject, and we need to emphasize on technical subjects if we are going to be interested.
Senator Olekina, 2 minutes.
Madam Speaker, I thank you for giving me the 2 minutes. I rise to support this petition by my good friend, Senator Mwaura. Madam Speaker, it is important for us to realize that for a youth to be able to get a job out there, they would have just either come out of university, graduated from the university. So when we come up with laws and regulations, we need to really put this youth in the position where we were before we even got an opportunity to come here. The next question to ask, Madam Speaker, is whether or not Credit Reference Bureau determines your eligibility or your ability to be able to work and deliver in the job that you are given. Getting a clearance certificate from the CID, it's already assuming that you've committed an offense, or getting a clearance from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption. If these things ought to be mandatory for each and every youth, then I would like to suggest that. Then they should be free. Because if it is something that you needed to better yourself, it is something which is a prerequisite for you to be able to be given a job, then we should make them all free. if it's something that has got to be mandatory, then the first step we ought to take, Madam Speaker, is to go to the universities. When the students are graduating, or when even the students are being admitted, as part of the admission process, let them be allowed to come up with all these documentations which are required. But calling for a student to pay, a youth, to pay 1,000 shillings and 50 shillings to be able to get a certificate from CAD, getting that student again to pay another one from CRB, getting another one to get from the Higher Education Law Board, it's really, really overburdening our students. I want to congratulate the Youth Fund, because I remember way back in May this year actually, on the 28th of May, that the chairperson clearly indicated that the youth will no longer be required to be subjected to all these credit references.
Senator Mary Yane, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. From the onset, I want to support the petition. And I want only to take only two concerns. The ministry concern in public service should look into the issues of this clearance, whether they are necessary. We are overburdening parents who have already paid so much to take these students to different institutions. And we are telling them again, they must clear the loan, HELB loan, so that a student get clearance from HELB. We are telling them again, they must pay transport to and fro for this particular youth to get all these documents. I think the ministry should look at ways of revising this policy. The issue of experience also. The government must come up with a way we can partner with industries and manufacturing companies so that we can keep our youth busy, because as we speak today, unemployment is a time bomb in this country.
The senators, our 30 minutes for petitions is over. Honorable senators, pursuant standing order 232.1, the petition stands committed to the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare. In terms of standing order 232.2, the committee is required in not more than 60 days from the time of reading the prayer to respond to the petitioner by way of a report addressed to the petitioner and laid on the table of the Senate. I thank you. Yes, Leader of Majority.
Speaker, did you see Senator Cheriot, Madam Speaker? Is he in order? And he's still working when I'm raising this very important point of order. Did you see Senator Cheriot, Madam Speaker, when you stood to make your determination on this petition? He was sitting outside the seats used by senators, where we know sergeant terms are seated, are always sitting, Madam Speaker. Is he in order? And is that in order? Madam Speaker, this is very serious because, Madam Speaker, a senator of the stature of Senator Cheriot, who is serving a second term, to reduce himself to take the position of sergeant at arms, Madam Speaker, you need to make serious determination on this matter.
Order, senators. Unfortunately, the Speaker did not see that, and I'm not supposed to see through the eyes of the majority leader. Had I seen that, then I would have been able to make some ruling on it. Yes, Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, the Speaker does not see unless somebody brings to your attention. And I have brought to your attention, Madam Speaker. And Senator Cheriot has not challenged, Mr. Speaker, or denied going to take up the role and the seat of Sergeant at Arms, Madam Speaker. Now that I am the one who has brought to your notice, Madam Speaker, and Senator Cheriot is not disputing that fact, Madam Speaker, can't you make a determination for the sake of other senators like him?
What point of order, Senator Sakaja?
Madam Speaker, I'd like for it to be clear in the record of the House, because I've had the leader of majority say something a bit disturbing that I don't think should stay in the record of the House. He said that Senator Aaron Cheriot reduced himself to sit with the Sergeant at Arms. What is this reduction? Are they lower? Is it a reduction? You know, can that be expunged from the... It's not a reduction, Madam Speaker. Are they inhuman? Are they not officers of this Senate like we are? Madam Speaker, I think for posterity, if someone in the year 2030 or 50 goes through the Hansard of the Senate, let it not be on the record that a senator, and nonetheless then the leader of majority, thought associating with Sergeant at Arms is a reduction in any manner, Madam Speaker.
Maybe, Senator, Majority Leader, you may have to clarify whether it is possible
Madam Speaker,
for Senator Cheriot to have reduced himself, and whether that is the right term to use.
Madam Speaker, with your permission, I will replace reduced, Madam Speaker. I withdraw the reduced, Madam Speaker, and allow me to replace with elevated himself, Mr. Speaker, to the position of a Sergeant at Arms.
I think that is better, but again, for Senator Cheriot, if you really sat there, then you might have some explanation to do. But I made a ruling earlier on that. I moved to Honorable Senators, I note that we need to rearrange the order paper, and we will have to use a supplementary paper, order paper that has been supplied. I now wish that we rearrange the order paper and for the time being leave number 5, order number 5, 6, and 7, and move on to orders number 8 up to 12. That is, if it is confirmed that we have the numbers for purposes of division.
Order number 8, the Care and Protection of Older Members of Society Bill, Senate Bills number 17 of 2018, second reading, division.
I order that the bell be rung for 5 minutes. Order, senators, kindly let us take our seats so that we check whether we have the requisite delegations. Order, Senator Malala. Senator Cheriot. Order, Senator Cheriot. Order, Senator Amos Wako. Kindly take your seats so that we may be able to check whether we have the requisite numbers. So we are ready, yeah? Order, senators. I now direct the bus be drawn and the doors be locked. The senators may now log in using their cards. Order, senators. I now put the question that the care and protection of older members of society bill, Senate Bill number 17 of 2018, be now read a second time. voting. Honorable Senators? Okay. So they started voting before I could say, so let's just wait for assistant voters. Assisted voters, if they are not. Any assisted voters, kindly approach the table. Order, Senators. We shall announce the results at the end after we conclude with all the divisions. Next order.
Order number 9, the Prevention of Terrorism Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 20 of 2018. Division, second reading division.
Honorable Senators, you may proceed to log in. I now put the question that the Prevention of Terrorism Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 20 of 2018 be read a second time. We are now ready to vote. Honorable Senators, you may now vote by pressing the yes, no, or abstention button. Assisted voters, you may approach the table. Next order.
Order number 10, the petition to County Assembly's Procedure Bill, Senate Bills number 22 of 2018, second reading, division.
Honorable Senators, you may now log in using your cards. I now put the question that the petition to County Assembly's Procedure Bill, Senate Bill number 22 of 2018, be read a second time. Honorable Senators, you may now vote by pressing the yes, no, or abstention button. As usual, technology might not be 100%. We are trying to sort it out, and we hope to be able to vote in a short while. Honorable Senators, kindly log in afresh. kindly log in afresh. You may now proceed to vote. Assisted voters. Honorable Senators, we now have the results. For the care and protection of older members of society bill, Senate Bill number 17 of 2018, the ayes 24, the noes 0, abstention 0, the ayes have it. For prevention, sorry.
A bill for an act of parliament to give effect to Article 57 of the Constitution, to provide a framework for the care of older members of society, to establish a framework for the empowerment and protection of the elderly and the maintenance of their well-being, safety and security, and for connected purposes.
The results for the Prevention of Terrorism Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 20 of 2018, the ayes 24, the noes 0, abstention 0, the ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Prevention of Terrorism Act and for connected purposes.
Results for the petition to County Assembly Procedure Bill, Senate Bill number 22 of 2018, the ayes 24, the noes 0, abstention 0, the ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to give effect to Article 37 of the Constitution on the right to petition a county assembly, to provide the procedure for the exercise of that right and for connected purposes.
Honorable Senators, I now direct that the bars be drawn and the doors be opened. Honorable Senators, we now go back to the supplementary order paper, order number 5. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Senate Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to lay the following papers, Mr. Speaker, on the table of the Senate today, 23rd October 2018. The 2018 Budget Review and Outlook paper for the financial year 2019 to 2020 to 2021-2022 midterm budget. Number 2, the report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Garissa for the year ended 30th June 2017. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Marsabit for the year ended 30th June 2017. Report of the Auditor General of the financial statement of the County Assembly of Embu for the year ended 30th June 2017. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Kitui for the year ended 30th June 2017. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Isiolo for the year ended 30th June 2017. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Tharaka-Nithi for the year ended 30th June 2017. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Mandera for the year ended 30th June 2017. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Kajiado for the year ended 30th June 2017. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Bungoma for the year ended 30th June 2017. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Kakamega for the year ended 30th June 2017. Report of the Auditor General for the year ended 30th June 2017. Financial statement of the County Assembly of Kisii for the year ended 30th June 2017. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Kisumu for the year ended 30th June 2017. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Busia for the year ended 30th June 2017. And the report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Siaya for the year ended 30th June 2017. Thank you, Madam. Pardon?
Kindly, Honorable Senator, look at your the paper
Madam
number
Speaker,
11 for Migori.
Yes, it includes also the report of the Auditor General and the financial statement of the County Assembly of Migori for the year ended 30th June 2017. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Pardon?
Next order.
I have. Just hold on. Madam Speaker, I have other. I don't have them here. Yeah, I don't have them. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Senator Abshiro Halake.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice of a motion on zero rating, duty, and VAT on locally manufactured sanitary towels. Whereas menstrual health management among women and girls in Kenya has been a major issue, particularly for the low-income earners, with about 65% of women and girls in the country not being able to afford sanitary towels each month, aware that many girls and women are severely affected during menstrual cycles and are not able to consistently attend and concentrate in class and school work, leading to poor performance. Further aware that if not handled properly, menstruation can cause infections of the urinary tract and pelvic inflammatory disease, as well as bad odor, soiled garments, and embarrassment, ultimately leading to infringement on the rights and dignity and other health-related complications for girls. Cognizant that menstrual health management is a health as well as an education issue and therefore a critical development hindrance in Kenya, with statistics indicating that 1 in 10 adolescent girls miss school and eventually drop out of school due to menstruation-related issues. Recognizing menstrual hygiene and affordable access to menstrual hygiene products is inextricably linked to rights to health, sanitation, education, and dignity, among other rights. Noting that Basic Education Act number 14 of 2013 obligates the government to provide free, sufficient, and quality sanitary towels to every girl, child registered and enrolled in a public basic education institution who has reached puberty. Concerned that the cost of sanitary towels is too high and out of reach for many girls and women who are out of basic education institutions. Further concerned that classifying and taxing raw materials for locally produced sanitary towels as luxury items is counterproductive to government policy on enhancing manufacturing sector and distribution of sanitary towels to school, and therefore the Senate resolves that the government prioritize gender-sensitive budgeting as a way of addressing issues affecting women and girls, specifically menstrual health matters, and initiate measures to ensure zero rating of duty on raw materials used for locally manufactured sanitary towels and zero rating value-added tax VAT on locally manufactured sanitary towels to ensure affordability for the many poor households in Kenya, and advance further tax incentives to manufacturers for cheaper production of sanitary towels. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Under Order 47-1, Honorable Senator Agnesani.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I stand to issue a statement of international and general topical concern under Standing Order 47-1. Pursuant to this order, I rise to issue the statement on election of Senator Susan Kika as the President of the Inter-Parliamentary Union IPU Forum of Women Parliamentarians. It really gives us a proud moment as the Senate of Kenya. It was a moment of pleasure in Geneva last week when this appointment was made, and everybody was very happy for Kenya. It was actually an honor to the whole country, to Senator Susan Kihika, but to the whole country as well. And many other countries came to acknowledge as Kenya and to congratulate us, and we took those congratulations message, and we were very proud of our own Senator Susan Kihika. She also chaired various sessions for the Women Forum, the Parliamentarians, and she did a very, very excellent job. She left us very, very proud, and everybody was very, very confident about her leadership. The whole week at IPU was a week of learning, because that IPU organization is an organization of parliaments, and it's composed of about 178 members, and these were parliamentarians from the different countries. The delegation from Kenya consisted of 5 members from the Senate, and including the Speaker of the Senate, and we also had 5 members from the National Assembly. Through that week, various issues were canvassed and discussed, ranging from various topical issues that are very, very key and very, very fundamental within the various parliaments. And these related to, for example, the strengthening of inter-parliamentary cooperation on migration and migration governance, non-admissibility of using mercenaries as means of undermining peace and violating human rights, combating sexual violence in UN peacekeeping operations, disarmament, the role of free and fair trade and investment in achieving the SDGs, protection of women from trafficking and all forms of violence, ensuring that all children enjoy their rights and grow up protected from violence, protection of stateless persons, and issues of nutrition, among others. And Madam Speaker, throughout all these discussions, Kenya participated very, very well. We were able to give the status of the various positioning in terms of the advancement that we've made as a country, the various interventions that we've made as a country, the various challenges that we have as a country, and also the way forward. And it was very interesting, Madam Speaker, because we found out over time that in most countries, it's the same issues that ravage the various countries and the various parliaments. But together, when one voice speaks about these issues, it was easy for us to deliberate and contextualize how various countries have addressed these issues, and also to improve on how us as a country, we can also deal with them. The focus is always the SDGs and a way of ensuring that the rights of humanity are upheld, that education is enhanced, the issues of health, the issues of violence, and all these were canvassed across the various points. Madam Speaker, the 139th Parliamentary Action Assembly and related meetings took place in Geneva on the 12th to 18th of October 2018, and there was a total of about 132 member parliaments that were there. And from all these delegations, we were able to interact with high-level members of parliamentary representatives from the various countries. Having highlighted the issues that were under consideration and deliberation at the Assembly and its related meetings, it was at this particular moment that we are actually able to have Senator Susan Kihika be elected. Initially, she was elected as the Vice President of the Forum of Women Parliamentarians during the 138th session. That was last year, and that had taken place in March 2018. And at that same time, during that same meeting, another member, Ulrika Karlsson from Sweden, was elected the president. But later on, Ms. Karlsson lost her parliamentary seat. And as per the rules of IPU, especially Rule 412, the Vice President of the Bureau of the Forum of Women Parliamentarians becomes the president for the remainder of the term. As such, therefore, Senator Kihika ascended to the seat of the president. Allow me, Honorable Madam Speaker and honorable members, to congratulate her once again on her ascension to the presidency of the IPU Forum of Women Parliamentarians. This indeed is a big win for the Senate, for Kenya, and for the women of Kenya. I'm convinced that Senator Kihika is a great leader and will do the country proud in dispensing her duties. I take this opportunity to wish Senator Kihika the best luck as she offers her services to the world. I also wish to congratulate us as a Senate for having been able to participate very well in this particular assembly. I also wish to congratulate the members of the National Assembly who are also there and who participated very well. As a delegation, I think we left a very good impression about the work we're doing in Kenya and in the parliaments of Kenya. And we've also been able to entrench ourselves in the IPU because the Speaker of the Senate, of this Senate, is a member of the Executive Committee of IPU. And now we also have another member who is Senator Kika, who is the president of the Forum of Women Parliamentarians. As a matter of fact, Madam Speaker, in most of these meetings, there is a lot of consensus building within the region because there are also various geopolitical groups. And in each of these geopolitical groups, each of these really present their issues and try as much as possible also to get representation. And there's a fair share of distribution of the various positions that are given. But every time within the IPU, when a Kenyan delegate was proposed for a particular position, there was a lot of enthusiasm. And that is because of the dedication that over time the members who have been representatives at IPU have shown the scale of leadership that they've been able to take from this country into the IPU. And I think that will continue. Once again, as I wind up, Madam Speaker, as the women of Kenya, as the members of the Senate of Kenya, as the members of Kenya, we congratulate you, Senator Susan Kihika, for ascending to the presidency of the Forum of Women Parliamentarians, and we know you will do very well. We are proud of you. God bless you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Senators, this being a very exciting moment, I use the order, the powers conferred to the Speaker through Order 1 to allow a few comments on this one. Senator Murkomen, Majority Leader.
You have to follow order. Madam Speaker, I want to thank you for this, giving me this opportunity. First of all, to thank Senator Philomena, Madam Speaker, for coming up with this very important statement to recognize her colleague and particularly recognize the contribution that the IPU has made not only to our parliament but also other parliaments in the world. I am informed, Madam Speaker, which information I believe to be true, that the Senator Kika is leading a forum of women parliamentarians from 174 parliaments in the world. Madam Speaker, this is great honor for this great republic, considering, Madam Speaker, that Madam Susan Kika has been, is one of the first ladies under the Constitution of Kenya, since independence and before, to be elected as a senator, among the 3 women elected as senator for the first time in the Parliament of Kenya. And Madam Speaker, that honor bestowed on her to become the president of Caucus of Women and all over the world is a demonstration of the kind of leadership that this country has produced. And for her to get this honor at a relative age, young age, Madam Speaker, is also a demonstration that leadership and wisdom that is bestowed on leaders transcends age, gender, Madam Speaker, ethnic affiliations, race, and therefore you have a leader in this house, and I'm privileged to be sitting next to her, who is leading people of different tribes, different races, different nationalities, and providing that leadership as a caucus of women. And it's important to note that this is also a demonstration of what can happen if all of us can believe in the leadership of women, that women can, and our women from Africa can lead, Madam Speaker, because the general stereotype is that, you know, gender, in terms of women gender, they are marginalized all over the world. But the general stereotypes that is worse in countries like ours, in sub-Saharan Africa, and this is a good example that she got an opportunity to lead. And I want to also congratulate the delegation that went to IPU because of their commitment, passion, and desire to learn. And Madam Speaker, I want to say that more often than not, people question why we travel for these important international conferences. It's because we also get an opportunity to lead and also to showcase what kind of leadership we have as a country. Number two is that we are able to exchange information that is useful for us to carry out our responsibilities as leaders from here. And as peers, our peers all over the world, there are information that we can be able to exchange. I believe that Senator Kika will come with that wealth of experience, would also create time, and I hope in these 4 years that he will be president of that caucus, the remaining 4 years, that he will also bring IPU to Kenya. And that caucus of IPU women will come to Kenya and come to see where Nakuru is, where Elgeyo Marakwet is, where Kwale is, and bring also the experiences they have from different parts of the world to, Madam Speaker, exchange experiences and knowledge with our people in this great republic. I want to say, Senator Kika, that you must not, the opportunity that you got now is a demonstration that you can rise higher. And I hope, Madam Speaker, will get an opportunity also to have a motion maybe tomorrow to also congratulate the former Prime Minister, who has also got a continental job. This may not be the right time to mention that, but you know, when our people thrive in international positions, it makes Kenya standing outside there. Like we recognized Senator Amos Wako, who is also a leader in a global organization under the UN. And every time we have Mukisa Kitui, we have others. In fact, Ghana, the standing of Ghana as a country in Africa and in the world is far much better because of the people like the late Kofi Annan, among others. I used to have one of my lecturers who was also leading a very important department of the WTO, and another one who was in WIPO. If you go to these international bodies, and Senator Amos Wako will tell you, you will meet so many Ghanaians who the late Dr. Kofi Annan created opportunities for them, opened doors for them. And I believe people like Dr. Mukisa Kitui, Susan Kika, Amos Wako, among others, Raila Odinga, among others, will open doors for Kenyans also to participate in governance of the world, and thereafter, you know, create jobs also for young people. If you get most of these international bodies where citizens of their countries are serving, you will have many of their citizens serving also in a junior positions, either as interns or employees of those institutions, and therefore improve the standing of our country. We thank you, and I beg to support that very important statement. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Amos Wako.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And I wish to endorse the congratulations by Philomena, not DCJ, but Philomena, the senator here, and the leader of majority for the comments I've made on Kika.
Order. Can you have your point of order? Can we hear your point of order?
Madam Speaker, is it in order for Senator Amos Wako to confuse, Madam Speaker, Senator Philomena, who sits in this house, and a Chief Deputy DCJ, Madam Speaker? And what could be the reason why Senator Amos Wako is engaged in that confusion, Madam Speaker?
It might not be in order for you to confuse the two, but maybe you might clarify what you meant.
Madam Speaker, the truth of the matter is that I have not confused the two, but they bear a similar name. Madam Speaker, I congratulate Senator Kika for her election to the International Parliamentary Union Chair. That's a very big honor. Sometimes we don't appreciate, as Senator Mukomen said, we don't appreciate our own when they make it internationally. It's not easy to become a president of the International Parliamentary Union. But the fact that it is Senator Kika who got it does not really surprise me. Doesn't surprise me because she has been a trailblazer throughout her life. We know that she was one of the very few, if the only lady county speaker in the last term. Then she has been elected senator. This is trailblazing. And then now she is the whip. There she succeeds another Senator Elachi, but to have succeeded Elachi to be a majority whip is no mean achievement. It's a recognition that as soon as you get to the Senate, before you have even served one term, you are already entrusted with the heavy responsibility of being a whip. So the fact that she was elected does not surprise me. In fact, it just confirms the very high opinion I've had of her performance in whatever job that she has been given. IPU is one of the most important international organizations in the world today. I'm fortunate that I'm a member of the International Law Commission, which is an organ of the United Nations, but I'm just the first chairperson of that august body. And I know that in the last session we had very good discussions with the officials of the IPU and the officials of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights on how we can make Parliament be on the forefront of fighting for human rights in the world. Madam Speaker, the fight for human rights in the world has been really been undertaken by the civil society, who are not elected bodies, just persons who come together and who are committed to promote human rights. It was the feeling of the International Law Commission. I was representing the International Law Commission and the International Parliamentary Union and the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. The time has now come when the elected leaders really assumed the role of being on the forefront of fighting for human rights, of fighting for gender rights, of fighting for the rights of the persons with disability. And we should not leave that job to civil societies, although they're doing a good job, who are not elected. But the virtue that we are elected, we should be on the forefront of that fight for the human rights. And therefore, I'm glad that at least I have somebody I can talk with in the promotion of that agenda. Somebody in the person of none other than Senator Kimani of Nakuru, Madam Speaker. So I congratulate you. I wish you success. I wish you success, and I also wish this small project of ours of putting national parliaments on the forefront of fighting for human rights become a reality in the world today. I thank you.
I note that we must really be excited about this, and we have so many requests. I reduce the time to 5 minutes each. Senator Beth Mugo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity for me also to add my voice to congratulate our sister, Senator Kika, for this really big achievement. And I know what I'm speaking about. That is a big achievement. It's not an easy office, but I have no doubt you'll do great service to it. In 2006, I held the same position. I was elected the president of the same women caucus. I'm sure you know of it. And most of you might know that we did hold IPU here in Kenya. And it was the first time to Africa. So that was a first for Kenya. It was also a first for Africa, for me, when I was elected to chair that women committee. And Kenya map went high. And now you have taken it even higher, because I believe you will build on where we stopped. And Kenya in IPU, and I have no doubt our clerk and and the Speaker, they know about it because Kenya is held very high in the IPU. Before then, actually, I had been also the second woman in the whole world to be elected to chair Committee 2 of IPU. I was president of Committee 2 also. And I won't tell you, we were elected by the whole world. I even beat a senator from Australia, a man. And the women, really, not just women, but even the men, they hailed Kenya as a leader, not only in Africa, but actually especially in the third world. So Kiheke, we are there for you. If there's anything you want to talk to me about this, since I have been there, I'll be willing to discuss with you. We are proud of you, and well done. And being at your age so early, getting there, I'm sure you might even become president of the IPU, which we would look forward. The only president was India, and I don't think we have been able to get another woman president. So I hope that's where you are headed. Congratulations.
Senator Malala Cleophas Wakhungu.
It is Wahungu, not Wahungu.
Wahungu.
Yes.
This,
Uh,
the
thank
minority, deputy minority.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to take this earliest opportunity to join my colleagues in congratulating Senator Kika upon her elections to head the International Women's Parliamentary Forum. I want to look at it as a win to Kenya, but more specifically to the Kenyan girl child. I think Senator Kihika is a good example of a girl child who has grown all the way from the grassroots to the international table where people make decisions for this world. Senator Kihika, I want to remember that he has led in very challenging times. When she was the Speaker for Nakuru, she used to lead MCAs who are very intolerant in her leadership, but she stood firm with them until she managed to lead them during her tenure as the Speaker for Nakuru. She went ahead and she was elected as the senator for Nakuru. You know the dynamics in Nakuru. And I think she has depicted that she's a leader who must be celebrated, and we must say this on this platform. Senator Kihika has undergone a lot of challenges. You remember during the Solai Dam tragedy, she was almost being crucified for standing with the people, but she stood firm. And I think these are some of the attributes that she depicts that make her unique from other leaders. Madam Speaker, I want to use this opportunity to emphasize the need of us investing in women and women leadership, and encourage all the women to come up strongly and partake elective seats. I'm sure most of the women in this house are nominated. I want to encourage them that that is just a stepping platform to greater heights. I want to emphasize on the issue of women being elected because, Madam Speaker, I think a woman is a mother figure, and mothers are very caring to their children, and I think this country will one day need a woman president. And this is the only way we are going to curb corruption, because a woman is sensitive. Even if she will want to indulge in corruption, she won't indulge in the extent in which other people like the men that are leading this country are indulging in corruption. And therefore, I want to advocate for a woman president in the future. And I see a lot of able women here. When you see Senator Abshiro, you'll see a leader. When you see Senator Pareno, you'll see a leader. When you see Senator Shionga, Senator Gertrude, and so many other senators who are in this house, we see leadership in them. And I want to take this earliest opportunity to continue congratulating my sister. I don't know if it's my sister or my mother, but from the looks, she looks like my sister. Senator Kihika upon our election. Thank you so much and congratulations. Thank you.
Senator Cheruiyot Aaron is not there. Senator Haji Farhia Ali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me opportunity to contribute to this statement. Susan, and I first of all, I want to congratulate Senator Zani for bringing this statement. Susan, you have made us extremely proud as Kenyan women and Kenya as a whole. You have shown that Kenyan women, after you and Senator Mugo, that we are women of substance in this country. Senator Susan, you have also shown a good role model and a mentor to Kenyan women, and Kenyan women now can feel that even the sky is not a limit for them. You have also made the dream of Kenyan child valid. We are so, so proud of you, Senator Susan. Even the fact that you are elected in a county like Nakuru, which is so cosmopolitan, which is so, you know, such, I mean, almost after Mombasa and Nairobi, almost the biggest, among the biggest county in terms of population. That in itself was not an easy achievement. You have encouraged us. And in terms of even as the Deputy Minority Leader has emphasized, your stand for Solai people was commendable. We get encouraged as Kenyan women. I am also proud with the men senators in this Senate. You have shown, a lot of commitment to women leadership in your recognition to this, not only once, so many times. I'm so proud of you as well. So like everybody else has said, now that we have a woman president, we need IPU to come here, not only in terms of giving visibility to Kenya, as everybody else has mentioned, but also the impact economically in terms of, people seeing Kenya as a future destination for investment, in terms of even the jobs that will be created in the value addition around the conference. Also in terms of, putting people in the map, tourism attraction. So it has a greater economic impact if we are able to bring IPU to Kenya. And as senators, Kenyan senators, we urge you to do the same. And Madam Speaker, thank you very much for allowing me to contribute to this important statement. I thank you.
Senator Mary Yane.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for also giving me a chance to add my voice to this important statement. On my own behalf and on behalf of Kenya Women Senators Association, as their chair, I wish to congratulate Senator Susan Kihika for her election as the president of IPU Forum of Women Parliamentarians. Madam Speaker, I also wish to thank all women from IPU Forum for having confidence in women leaders from Kenya. This will go a long way in building women leadership space for us women in Kenya. And therefore, I want to thank all of them and even our colleagues who went to join the IPU forum. I also wish to say that Susan, your appointment has once again, after the appointment of Senator Senior Beth Mugo, has put us women in the world leadership map. And therefore, this has increased the confidence of women in this country. And I want to wish you all the best and success in your new appointment. Thank you.
Senator Inima Gertrude Musuruve.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to also add my voice to this. And first, I want to thank Senator Dr. Zani for coming up with this statement, because it is a statement that is really loaded for the women of this country. And it is great, it is a wonderful thing that we have a Kenyan at the top. And Senator Kihika, I just want to congratulate you for this appointment. We are proud of you. You've done us proud as a country. And internationally, being in such a position, it is not something that we can take for granted as a country. And you have proved to Kenyans, you have proved to the whole world that yes, women can make it. And I want to say that I like your zeal in leadership. I like the fact that you are daring. And even when you went for the Nakuru elective position, it really took a woman with a nerve to go and do that. So I want to say, Senator Kihika, you come out strongly as a mentor for women in this country. You come out strongly as a source of inspiration to women leaders and the girl child so much. And I want to say that we can also not take for granted the fact that we'll get a wealth of information from you. From now onwards, you're going to get a wealth of information concerning leadership at international level. And we are privileged because you're just a phone call away from us. We can talk to you, we can interact with you, and you can tell us exactly the experiences you have. So this will be very good for us as a country. And it is a milestone for the Kenyan women. And I'm happy also that Senator Beth Mugo was also there. And this is also a plus for Kenya, because most important, you're also going to get a lot of experience from her. The fact that she was there, she has a wealth of information also to share with you. And also the fact that she was in a number of committees there, that already is speaking a lot about the experiences that she has at international level. And I'm sure that with the wealth of experience you get from her, with the advice you get from her, Kenya will remain at that position. And next time also, I am sure that that position will still go to Kenyans. And it came out strongly also from Senator Dr. Zani's statement that people at international level are usually enthusiastic when they hear that a Kenyan is interested in such a position. Why? Because Kenyans who have been appointed to those positions have proved to the world that they are able, they make it, and they perform. If they were not performing, there is no way that position would have gone to you. If Senator Beth Mugo did not perform, I do not think that the position would have gone back to Kenya. So Senator Beth Mugo, I want to commend you for that. I want to commend you for the performance, your good performance during the time that you are in committees and during the time that you are in that position. You have actually opened the way for Senator Kihika. And Senator Kihika, I am sure that if your performance is good, many other opportunities will come up for the Kenyan woman internationally. We do not just want to be in Kenya alone. We want to be international. We want to say that women of Kenya can make it. Yes, we can make it, and that is where we are headed to. So I support all the others. I join the others in supporting you for this position, and I want to wish you all the best because I know and I believe that you'll perform. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Ongeri Samson Kegengo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was away in Indonesia with Senator Mary when we received this exciting news of your election to the position of President of the IPU. You know, from my experience as a former diplomat, ambassador to United Nations in 1992, 97, and again in the latest period, and as a former Minister for Foreign Affairs, I'm fully aware how competitive this kind of positions can be. Sometimes you get tremendous groupings, a group of 77 plus China, and then of course the European Union, and then of course the Americans wanting to have their own candidates to sponsor such kind of positions. And then of course you make the other interest groups within the African continent that they want to have their own person. And this is very, for those of you who may not have been in this kind of position, it can involve the whole nation to be able to campaign for one candidate. The fact that it only took 5 of you from this Senate and the 5 from the National Assembly, 10 with a speaker, and you were able to campaign vigorously and obtain that chair, it's a great congratulations for this tremendous effort. That's a position of honor. You are now in the international community, and you are expected to perform well in various areas and give direction in some of the things that will come for the debate and for the deliberations during the international meetings. You are the eye of Kenya now in those organizations, and you can rest assured that if you need any support from us, it will be readily available. Any experience that you may need to require from us, it will be easily available to you so that you can be able to conduct those very exacting meetings. Sometimes they run into late midnights, late hours of the morning, wanting to exact or reach a particular decision. You come across many competing interests, the interests of the Middle East group, the interests of Africa, the interests of Europe, the interests of the Asian Pacific group, and I'm sure you are equal to the task. That when you ascended to that position, they saw in you some level of character that will be able to propel this organization to a new level of standing internationally. I have no doubt in my mind, having watched you very carefully, and having known your father, who he was, a go-getter person, and having seen you of late in the last few years, I've observed you, I've seen you like you behave like your late father, a go-getter person. I think I'm not wrong that you will be able to achieve the kind of standards you have already set. Before you, there have been Senator Beth Mugo, and they have offered an example. We have also held international opportunities. At one time, I was the president of the Multilateral Fund, and I know how exacting it was when I was in UNEP, United Nations Environmental Program, and also the vice chair of various committees in biodiversity and the other places. This is not a meeting like a local meeting where you walk in knowing fully that the international community is going to watch your steps, is going to watch what's going to come out in the way of decision and direction from your desk. And you will need a lot of people around you, and I'm sure you've already started surrounding yourself with the advisors from the Secretariat, ensuring that the kind of materials they give you are the materials that will propel you to do just the right thing. Once again, Kenya has put a stamp that our women can compete, and they can compete and be able to be elected in the international platform. I wish that can also extend the local platform so that we can do away with these nominations, so that we can get our women properly elected by Kenyans, and so that we don't have to struggle with gender parity anymore like it is elsewhere. But for now, I think it's a provision in our constitution which we must uphold, because if that was not able to be done, we wouldn't have had such great minds in this Senate that we have here today. So I'm not in any way negating the decision of affirmative action for nomination of women. I'm just only saying and drawing a parallel that if Kenyans were to wake up and also elect women to these positions, elected positions in our parliament, in our Senate, in our county assemblies, it will be able to enhance our democracy. And it will be able to give us an opportunity to express ourselves as a Kenyan people, not as a group which are male-dominated. And at the expense of ostracizing myself from the male community, I want to thank you and congratulations.
Senator Olekina Ledama.
Madam Speaker, thank you. I rise to congratulate my dear friend, Senator Susan Kihika, who I serve in 2 good committees, in the House Business as well as the Energy Committee. I've known Senator Kihika to be someone very vibrant and to be detailed. I wish to really congratulate your agility and dedication to service of the people of Kenya and also the world now in general, and particularly in leadership. I know this is the zeal, this is the dedication that your colleagues saw in appointing you to become their president. Madam Speaker, I wish to remind my friend that life is all about grabbing opportunities by the collar and squeezing them out till the very last drop. Make sure you do the same in this job that you have. I know that the international IPU, their role is really to promote democracy, to promote opportunities for women. And I think it is important that in these parliaments that we have all around the world, the woman voice is heard, supported, and given that opportunity to be able to take that risk. There are various challenges that our young girls face. And I think with you, being a lawyer and having lived in the US for many years, and having been able to be elected as a speaker, and also the first woman senator from Nakuru, I think it puts you in a position whereby you can be able to grab these opportunities. Remember, if you don't squeeze them, then the people don't benefit. I know my colleagues have spoken, and they are saying that there are so many other goodies that come in. If there are any goodies like jobs, you know, remember some Maasai young girls to be given those opportunities as well, because they are also your constituents. They vote for you in Nakuru. It is important that you remember that with this organization that you are in, one of the missions and goals is to ensure that they support the marginalized communities. And for you, representing the Ogiek, the Kalenjin, the Kipsigis, the Maasais, and the Kikuyus in Nakuru, I think some of them could argue that they have been marginalized. So any experiences that you can be able to gain from the discussion that you have with your colleagues will be very, very important to help us here in terms of developing new legislation. Once again, I want to convey my most sincere congratulations upon you assuming your new position, and really ask you to really squeeze it. Let it be one that we can be able to look forward and saying that this really did benefit Kenyans. Learn everything you can learn, come back here, help us with your colleagues so that you can be the best mentor that women in this country can be able to have. We know there's a lot of politics. Some of them have the debate of the Me Too. I'm sure you're aware of that whole debate of the Me Too. I hope that here in this country, we cannot be talking about Me Too. We can actually be trying to find a way to put that Me Too debate out and encourage women to be able to fight for their rights, be able to stand up, and so that we can be able to develop this country. Otherwise, I thank you and I congratulate you.
I'm happy to note that whoever is doing that caption on our screen has now made the correct representation. It was initially indicated as Senator Kihika is elected as IPU Forum. So I'm happy that you have now included the president of IPU Forum. So we congratulate our Lady Kihika. Senator Halake Abshiro Soka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also rise to congratulate Senator Kika and also Senator Zani for bringing this to our attention. But also, please allow me to congratulate and to thank Senator Beth Mugo for clearing the path for the rest of us who are following in her footsteps. And I'm sure Senator Kika's path was very smooth because Senator Mugo did a fantastic job. So congratulations to both our senators who were elected to the IPU Forum for Women Parliamentarians. Congratulations, Senator Kihika. I don't wish to repeat everything that has been said because a lot has been said, but I just wished to stand up and celebrate you and to celebrate with the rest of the senators who have congratulated you. Senator, I think I don't wish to repeat, but your track record has shown that through you, Kenyan women can actually showcase their strength, they can showcase their intellect, and they can showcase what they are made of. And we look up to you and we look forward, because I have no doubt you're going to do wonders at the IPU Forum for Women Parliamentarians, and that Kenya continues to trail the blaze and to blaze the trail for all the right reasons and not for all the reasons that we've been in the newspapers and in the limelight lately, be it corruption and other things. So we celebrate you. Thank you for giving us something to celebrate and something to feel good about as women of this country, but also something to say to everybody else that we're able and that we can do it, and that through you, the girls of Kenya will have a good model, a good role model, and to look up to and to show that it's not just about, you know, I know people have talked about perhaps nominations and affirmative action, but with your own right, you have shown that you can have Kenyan women being elected, not just at the local level, but also on the international forum. So I thank you very much, Dr. Zani, for bringing this. I celebrate my sisters who have achieved this and have been elected to this very important forum, and we look forward to supporting you to excel. You probably don't need much of that, but we are behind you, and we look forward to making sure that our chairmanship or our presidency, and because we are owning it now, is going to be exemplary, so to speak. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Masitsa Naomi Shionga.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to join my colleagues in congratulating Senator Kihika. I want to take this opportunity again to congratulate Senator Kihika for this well-achieved position. Being a president, an international president, it does not just come like that. We are proud of you. Again, I want to congratulate and applaud our Senator Zani for bringing up this and for us to get an opportunity to congratulate our able leader, Susan. Madam Speaker, somebody somewhere said that you give a woman a house and she will give you a community. We gave Susan leadership in this house, and she has given us a community internationally. We congratulate you for that. Madam Speaker, there's much that comes with this opportunity and leadership that Senator Susan has just achieved, including undermining peace, taking care of those who undermine peace, violating human rights, combating sexual violence, and all this in Kenya, we experience them. And we are saying, or I'm saying it is that, it is an opportunity for us as Kenyans, and especially Kenyan women, to have this opportunity international that one of us is leading such a forum. Madam Speaker, I want to say, and I want to applaud this position. It was code-made. It is a position that was created in you, and you look exactly like that. Go ahead, do it, perform for the Kenyan and perform for the world. And lastly, I want just to say, it was fantastic. I felt so happy I felt like being where you were. But thank you, we thank God because you are back in Kenya and we are celebrating together. We are discussing together. Please hold our hands so that we can emulate you. When we look at you, you are our role model. I'm so happy for women leaders. Madam Betsy Mko is here. We look at her as our leader. We have speaker women who are here. And when we look at them, we get the energy that we want. And it is with this that we no longer belong to vulnerable category that women are always categorized with. Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I support and applaud my sister senator here. Thank you.
I see no further interventions. I am sure I would have wanted to go on and on to congratulate our senator, but we have to stop somewhere. And therefore we stop there and wish you well. And we have a statement. Next statement. Pursuant to Standing Order 48-1, statement by Jones Mwaruma, MP. We drop that one and we go to the next order. Next order.
Order number 11, Committee of the Whole.
Honorable Senators, this one cannot proceed and we therefore defer it. Next order.
Order number 12, Committee of the Whole.
The same is also deferred. Next order.
Order number 13, the Local Content Bill, Senate Bill number 10 of 2018, second reading.
Senator Gideon Moi is not present. This one is therefore dropped and shall suffer the fate of Order 59-3. Next order. Honorable Senators, for ease of our business today, we reorganize again the order paper, and instead of Order 14, we now go to Order 15.
Order number 15, the County Planning, Roads, Pavements and Parking Bays Bill, Senate Bills number 18 of 2018, second reading.
Senator Ledama Olekina.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. I beg to move that the County Planning, Roads, Pavement and Parking Bill 2018 be read a second time. Madam Speaker, this bill seeks to provide a legislative framework for the planning, construction and maintenance of county roads, streets, lanes, alleys, parking bays, drainage systems, and pavement in each county. Madam Speaker, it also provides for the proper planning and placement of access ways to commercial buildings along major roads within counties. Madam Speaker, the overall object of this bill is to provide a framework for easy access to roads, promote road user safety, ensure easy accessibility to commercial buildings, and promote the development of a well-planned environment in counties. Madam Speaker, as you are aware, under the 4th schedule of the Constitution, transport is a shared function between the national and the county governments. In particular, the county government is charged with the functions of traffic and parking, paragraph 5C of part 2 of the 4th schedule. Further, Madam Speaker, Article 74F of the Constitution of Kenya states that one of the core goals of devolution is the promotion of social and economic development and the provision of easily accessible services throughout Kenya. Madam Speaker, allow me to give a brief overview of the bill. Clause 2 of this bill contains various definitions of terms relevant to the bill. These definitions are necessary for avoidance of doubts and take into account the various jurisdictions of the national government and the county government as concerns roads. Clause 3 of the bill, Madam Speaker, concerns the object and purpose of the Act. These objectives are as follows. 1, provide a framework for the planning and construction of access ways from major roads in each county in a manner that ensures the safety of road users. Madam Speaker, Clause 3B, provide a framework for the planning of commercial buildings along major roads in a manner that ensures that the buildings are accessible and do not lose their commercial viability. And C, promote the development of a well-planned environment in counties in order to achieve unhindered and adequate access to buildings from major roads by members of the public. Clause 4 of the bill, Madam Speaker, outlines the application of this bill, and that is to county roads and all commercial buildings constructed along major roads. The 5th clause in this bill places a set of duties on the county executive committee member responsible for matters relating to roads. Those duties are as follows. A, formulate a comprehensive plan for the construction and maintenance of county roads within the respective county. B, facilitate the design, development, and maintenance of drainage systems along the roads. C, ensure access ways to buildings constructed along national and county roads. D, make provision for and ensure the construction of adequate parking bays in the respective counties. E, ensure the maintenance of county roads. And F, facilitate regular inspections of all the buildings, roads, streets, lanes, alleys, parking bays, and pavements to ensure that they adhere to the prescribed building codes and standards as set out in this Act and any other written law. Madam Speaker, Clause 6, 7, and 8 of the bill contains provisions that obligate each county government to construct and maintain streets, lanes, alleys, parking bays, and pavements. Clause 9 of the bill states that county executive member shall designate areas for use by pedestrians for the purpose of crossing a major roads in the county in a manner that does not interfere with the flow of traffic. This clause requires the CC to ensure the construction of footbridge or any other convenience for use by pedestrians to cross a major road. Clause 10 of the bill contains provisions on access ways to commercial buildings. In this clause, Madam Speaker, the owners of a commercial building situated along a major road shall ensure access ways to present ways are present near major roads. Clause 11 and 12, Madam Speaker, contain provisions on the construction and maintenance of pavements and parking bays by the owners of commercial buildings. The bill contains provisions on the use of pavements in Clause 13. This clause states that a pavement shall only be used by pedestrians in a manner that the county executive member may prescribe. Driving, parking, erecting of structures of hawking are forbidden, and offenders shall be liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 100,000 shillings or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 months. Clause 14 contains provisions on the parking of motor vehicle. It states that a motor vehicle shall not be parked in any area that which is designated as a parking bay, other than that which is designated as a parking bay. The driver of a motor vehicle shall not use a parking bay other than for the purpose of parking his or her motor vehicle, and in accordance with the conditions set out by the County Executive Committee member. The contravention of this provision shall result in the offender being liable on conviction of a fine not exceeding 50,000 shillings or to imprisonment of a term not exceeding 3 months or both. The county may also seize the offending motor vehicle, and the vehicle shall only be released upon payment of the required fine and charges. Madam Speaker, Clause 15 contains provisions on designated parking. It states that the county executive member shall designate parking bays for the exclusive parking of petroleum tankers, vehicles in accordance with Section 99 of the Energy Act, and the parking of other heavy commercial vehicles. The clause also states that those vehicles may park outside these designated areas for the purpose of loading or offloading goods where A, the loading or offloading process is continuous. The goods are such weighty that they cannot be reasonably conveyed otherwise by the means of a vehicle. C, Madam Speaker, the vehicle is parked as near as possible to the loading or offloading site, and D, the loading or offloading activity is carried out promptly. A person who contravenes this section, Madam Speaker, commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 200,000 shillings or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 1 year or both. Clause 17 of the bill, Clause 16 of the bill empowers the county executive member to make regulations for the better carrying of the Act. This regulation shall be on prescription of standards for constructions and the use of street lanes, alleys, parking bays, pavement, drainage systems, and other structures prescribed by this Act, as well as prescriptions of the procedure for the application of any approval provided in this Act. Madam Speaker, from the onset I want to say that the reason that led me to come up with this bill is because of the constant road accidents that we see along Nairobi Highway, Waiyaki Highway, particularly on a place where Kangemi is a good example, where people have to cross from one side of the road to the other side of the road, and where you see a lot of hawking, market illegal activities being put along the road. Madam Speaker, this is the cause of disorganization in this country. And I want to be very clear that this bill has got nothing to do with the roads bill, which is currently here in the second reading. This is a bill which is not seeking to create or establish an authority. This is a bill that seeks to carry out various functions that are now devolved. When, Madam Speaker, you look at budgets of each and every county in this country, the first thing you look at in a budget is that there is an estimate of how much they can be able to generate from parking services. Madam Speaker, there is no law that guides the county executive, that really empowers the county executive to be able to set up and designate these parking areas and say, this parking area shall be used by motorcycles. This parking area shall be used by tankers. This parking area shall be used by matatus or any other vehicle. One of the biggest problems we have in this country is that sometimes certain accidents occur because of the obstructions on the road. People crossing from one side to the other. So this bill, once it's in place, Madam Speaker, it will be able to do away with that. Number two, Madam Speaker, for me to be able to demystify this bill, it will be able to help us. Right now, one of the biggest problems we have in this country, Madam Speaker, is where we are overestimating our collections. With this bill and with the executive, the county executive member in charge of transport in, for instance, Narok County, can be able to say, in Narok Town, we have 10,000 parking spots. Out of the 10,000 parking spots, 5,000 of those parking spots are to be used by private vehicles. And we will charge X amount of money per vehicle per day. Even if you give a percentage of, let's say, about 30% of the revenue collected, you can be able to come up with realistic figures of how much money you will be collecting. Number two, Madam Speaker, when you go into our towns, which are designed a long time ago, the building codes, there's no inspections. No one goes out there and say, okay, you have got this building. Now the front of your building, we as a county government of, let's say, Narok County, are the ones who are responsible. We bring in vehicles. So somebody with a big tanker comes, parks it there, blocks the business. So even the commercial viability of each and every building, sometimes you can't really tell. Because when somebody comes in, they realize that, well, there's a tanker blocking. I cannot go in and shop. I cannot be able to stop. What this bill, Madam Speaker, is going to do, it is going to enable anyone who is building and has a building which is facing either the highway to be able to turn that building to the other side and create streets. It is only in this country, Madam Speaker, that I've lived in, that I've seen that we do not have streets. Most buildings, when they are constructed in this country, Madam Speaker, the owner of the building, of the commercial building, can only accurately say, these two shops which face the highway will be able to give me, let's say, 20,000 shillings a month in rural areas. Maybe in urban areas, you can say per square foot will be about 100 shillings per square foot. But any other spaces at the back, Madam Speaker, no one is able to tell. Because when I come and I want to shop, I'll only shop in the first two shops. Getting parking might be problematic. So, Madam Speaker, one of the things that this bill is going to help is that the owners of those buildings will be given an opportunity by the regulations that will be developed by the county executive committee in charge of transport to be able to maintain those pavements. Then let's say get into these issues of public-private partnership, where the public is not losing any money. If anything, the public, the owners of the building will be able to maintain their pavements, not putting cabro, not putting bitumen, but using regulations that have been set out. If it is cabro, the entire streets in Narok Town will have cabro. If it is bitumen, the entire streets, or rather the pavement, will be able to have, also be able to have those. If it is bitumen, it is bitumen. Madam Speaker, the other very important thing in this bill is that this bill will help this country. It will help this country be able to reduce the number of people who are killed riding motorcycles in an area which is designated for vehicles. Madam Speaker, with this bill, the county executive committee member of each and every county will be able to designate areas where there are people who, with bikes, can be able to ride their bikes there. People with motorbikes, they can be able to ride their motorbikes. But now, when vehicles, motorbikes, bikes are all competing in one area because there's lack of law and order, of course, the level of accidents will continue increasing, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the other very important thing about this bill, which I hope that members will be able to support, is that it will encourage people in each and every town to be able to think of their commercial properties as all equal, where instead of building your buildings facing the highway, and then when you build them facing the highway, there'll be a lot of illegal, what do you call it, Madam Speaker? A lot of illegal shanties or hawkers. You will be able to create your buildings in a way that when you walk into the building, you can either shop on your right or on the left. And that will help us be able also to reduce the number of all these illegal structures which are constructed on the road reserve. So this bill will help our county governments be able to clearly plan. Where, when you're looking at the worldwide trends, Madam Speaker, I'm concerned that even in this country, with the level of vehicles that we're importing, vehicles that use diesel, that use petrol, where around the world, Madam Speaker, What is happening now is that, particularly in the UK, by 2030, there will be no more vehicles that use petrol or diesel. They will all be using electric vehicles. So what happens, Madam Speaker, now, with all the vehicles that we're importing, and most of them we're importing when they are like 8 years and above, they will all be parked in the streets. They are just left there. With this bill, no one can be able to park any vehicle. Because I'm sure when the world is moving towards electric, even for us, we'll be able to move towards electric. So once we have laws that can be able to clearly state that in this county, Nakuru County, for instance, Madam Speaker, there are 50,000 parking spots. Those parking spots can only be built and they can only be used for generating income. When we have petrol stations, Madam Speaker, the petrol stations which are built along the roads, they've got to be built in a way that they can be able to accommodate these big tankers when they're coming in to be able to offload the petroleum product that they carry, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, this bill really is one that tries to raise income for counties in terms of parking. It is a bill that helps be able to encourage that you leave it for the county government to be able to develop the frontage of your building? Or are you going to incorporate the aspect of the private-public partnership, where you build, you develop your frontage, and you use it for the parking of the people who are coming to shop in your premises? Because by then, it will also empower the owners of these buildings. Because they know, once I've built this property, I have been given the regulations to be able to construct the frontage. From here, I can be able to say, we are going green, Madam Speaker. There are about 20 people who will come with bikes, with bicycles. We will designate an area clearly for bicycles, Madam Speaker. There are those who will come with motorbikes. I will designate. And Madam Speaker, I'll also designate the ones who will come with private vehicle. It is very sad, Madam Speaker, that a lot of people in this country, their businesses, they don't make, you might have the best designer suits. You might have the best pharmacy. But the fact that you do not have a parking area where you can easily park your car and get into a shop and buy and walk away denies you that business, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in the United States of America, most buildings, and when I was thinking about this bill, I looked at other jurisdictions. I looked at other countries on how they handle the issue of pavements and parkings. And in some counties in America, in some states, as the owner of the building, you are given a distance of about 3 meters where you maintain. That place where you maintain, you are given regulations, you clearly mark the parking spots which are there, and you are in partnership with the county government, or rather the town council there. So anyone who comes in and parks there does not have to pay anything. But if you are not, and there are some other buildings, Madam Speaker, that when you park there, you pay that revenue to the county government, or rather to the town councils. So, Madam Speaker, this bill is really a win-win for all of us. It is a win-win for the business community. It is a win-win for the county governments, because now they can clearly say, out of all the parking spots, out of our budget, we know we can budget and say about 50% of all our parking spaces will be able to generate revenue. And this is the time, Madam Speaker, where we are crying. County governments are crying. There is this debate of where people are saying, let us now merge some other counties because of lack of creativity, Madam Speaker. So this bill brings in another creative element to support such that these counties can continue generating revenue. There are so many counties, Madam Speaker, that talks about converting urban areas into becoming municipalities. There's not a lot of thinking behind it, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the act that regulates the formation of municipality is very clear. You've got to demonstrate that you can be able to raise local revenue. Most of these counties we have in this country, Madam Speaker, some of them are not able to demonstrate that. Madam Speaker, we also know that there's a lot of money which has been assigned under this urban planning, a lot of money that is coming from the World Bank to plan the urban centers. If we plan these urban centers and we do not have a law in place that can be able to clearly state and say, with the planning of Narok Town, for instance, Madam Speaker, the World Bank is giving us maybe 300 million shillings or more. But if you are giving us, and we do not have a law that can be able to guide us, building codes, be able to designate those parking areas, designate those pavements. In fact, this bill will even help, Madam Speaker, towns that do not have designated parking areas to be able to go in and negotiate with people. I'm very happy with what I'm seeing in this city of Nairobi, Madam Speaker. People, even across from the Parliament buildings here, people are no longer building commercial space to lease out. They are now investing in building parking spaces. So when we do so, Madam Speaker, it will only be right if we follow the law, if we have clear regulations, and we also empowers devolution. Madam Speaker, so many times we talk about bills here, and we are only focusing on the national government interest. When are we going to be focusing on county government interest? When are we going to now really fully say the Constitution is very clear? And earlier on, Madam Speaker, I gave reference to Article 174 of the Constitution that promotes the goals of devolution in promotion of social and economic development. Also, I looked at the fourth schedule in terms of the shared duties between both the national government and the county government. It is now time that we now in this House completely push for legislations that will be able to promote devolution. These counties, Madam Speaker, I'm from a different school of thought that believes that the counties that we have, once managed effectively, we can be able to generate a lot of on-source revenue. The only way we can do that, Madam Speaker, is if this House supports this bill, takes the time to look at this bill, and not confuse this bill as me coming up with a bill that is trying to rival or fight the roads bill. Madam Speaker, the history of this country, in terms of legislations which have been brought into this House, most of them have been sponsored by the government. Most of them are designed towards developing authorities. I'm very happy that this House is vibrant. This House has got men and women who take their time to say, I want to live in a good country. It is sad that we travel around the world, Madam Speaker, and we look at the law and order, we look at the way cars are parked. Madam Speaker, in the UK, there are parking areas which are designated for residents. You don't park for free. You've paid either a subsidized rate for the whole year, or you pay on a daily basis if you are not a resident. And where it is necessary, and I would welcome any other amendments to this bill, because I don't purport to say that I have the answers to the problem we have. I'm sure with the support of my able senators, or colleagues, we can be able to improve, to bring in other areas, to ensure that it also covers specifically these petrol stations or gas stations which are being developed along our highways. I long for the time, Madam Speaker, that we can say we have our welcome centers, and as part of the income that we get from people coming into our counties, the first is the parking, which will be from each and every county. And it is going to be very clear. I see this country moving forward to a point where people will be going on vacation. I'm sure Senator Kika in the US traveled maybe in a minivan and from one state to another. And sometimes she will find a place where she can be able to spend the night in the same minivan because they are designed as vehicles. Of course, she paid that. All these things we need to be thinking forward. We need to be coming up with regulations and laws that can be able to support us. Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, or many, many remarks, I beg to move and invite, I'd actually earlier on asked my good friend, Senator, sometimes we forget her name, my leader, to be able to second, but I also ask the majority whip to second, and I now would like, Madam Speaker, to invite my good friend, Senator Susan Kihika, to second this bill. Thank you.
Senator Kihika.
Oh, thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to second the County Planning Roads, Pavement and Parking Bays Bill 2018 that has been brought by Senator Ledama Olekina. A very timely bill, Madam Speaker, because as we know, we are in a period where counties are beginning to take off, or should have taken off by now, but basically beginning to do that. And this bill, from having gone through it, will provide a good roadmap and consistency to many counties, or rather to most counties, all counties across the country, in some of the issues that really have been neglected in most of these areas. With the bill, it stipulates ways in which there will be access to major roads in a manner that ensures the safety of road users. Madam Speaker, as most of us have seen from our different areas, the number of people who are killed or seriously injured when maybe trying to cross a major road from one side to the other, or trying to access a commercial building, and in doing so, a vehicle just comes by and runs them over. I mean, we need some order in this, in the planning, so that we are able to have safety, to bring safety and order and to our communities across the board. Madam Speaker, the bill also has very clearly stipulated the manner in which the commercial buildings will be accessed from major roads. This is important because in most of these counties and in most of these towns actually, and cities and just towns everywhere across the board, there is no order. You find some buildings, you access them from one side of the road, others from the other side, some in a way that does not make sense, or if maybe a vehicle is standing in, another one that's on the road could easily just come and crash it, or those sorts of things. So there's no order, and we do need a law that will sort of bring a framework, or that will bring a framework, so that when planning for the commercial buildings is done, this is taken into account. It is extremely necessary and important, as we also see the great growth across our counties in the whole country. So without having the proper planning in place, then we continue to be a lawless country. And I say that because it's quite obvious that, for example, when you see the matatus on the roads, they seem to make their own laws. They stop anywhere. You see them stopping in the middle of the road, where they either pick up passengers or others alight right in the middle of the road without regard to parking bays or anything, or really the places where they're supposed to stop and safely have the road users exit the vehicles or enter the vehicles in a safe manner. We've also seen on this bill actually, Madam Speaker, we see the necessity of having parking bays across the counties and across the cities and the towns. In a lot of the counties, or in a lot of, actually even here in Nairobi, I guess Nairobi is a county too, but even in our major cities basically, Nakuru too, you find that as a country, our our GDP is rising, and with that, a lot of people have been able to afford vehicles, or there is even a lot more vehicles, be they for public transportation, owned by individuals, or whatever the case may be. So the number has really, really risen.
And with that, we have not, as counties, taken into account where these vehicles are parked once we get to town or once we get to these congested areas. And as such, you will find that vehicles are parked in all manner of places, blocking maybe access to buildings, or parked in a place that is hazardous in case, say, there was a fire or there was an accident, it would then become a hazard. So with this bill, we see the streamlining of that, of the parking bays and requiring the county governments to have them in, across the counties. And even where there is no, let's say there is no public land available, the bill stipulates how the county executive committee member would go into the compulsory acquisition of such land so that then there is parking bays across our cities and towns. And with this, we have had our senator, the mover of the motion, Senator Ledama, talk about how we can create another stream of income by making sure, because we will be making sure that there is the parking bays, they are charged. The users of the parking bays are charged, and with that, the communities or the counties are then able to have another source of revenue, as we know that we need to really maximize on that, so that the counties are able to run productively. It's also one of the major issues we've seen across the board, where you have seen there are no pavements in most of these areas, be they towns, cities, or even just in the congested areas. We do not have pavements, and so you have somebody who is on a motorcycle or on a bicycle on the same roadway as the vehicle, and the vehicles do not seem to give way, or rather to be friendly to other road users, such as those on the bicycle or the motorcycle. And without the pavements, they do not have any other place where they could ride their bicycles. And as we are moving into being a more green economy, or to be more green going forward into the future, we are also encouraging people to use their bicycles. This would help keep them fit for their health purposes, but it also would reduce the congestion of vehicles on our roads, and in addition to that, would be a very good thing for our environment as it reduces or brings down pollution. So as we do that, and as we encourage that, then we must be able to provide an alternate part of the road where those on the bicycles or the motorcycles can safely use those parts of the road without being run over by the vehicles. Because it seems as though the vehicles seem to feel like they are the kings of the roads, they have more rights on the roads than the other users, and so it's just become very, very, very problematic. So with this bill bringing that forward or streamlining that, then it is really, it will be a very big win for the safety of our road users across the board. We've also needed to see more pavements, so as just to bring a cleaner, better looking roads and areas within our cities and our towns. By the bill requiring that those be put in place once you have erected a building or once the city has one, it's really going to make our cities more conducive to even walking. Because right now, without pavements, you are walking and there's a hole and you sort of maybe break your leg, or it's just dusty. It's just very, they're just eyesores across the board. And so once we have these pavements set up and put up, then we are just really going to have beautiful cities and beautiful towns across our counties, and we'll be proud of our towns, and our environments will also be very much prettier, if that means anything, and I think it does. Back again a little bit to the designated, the parking bays. I bring an example of my county where we have this area called Salga. It's on the major highway from Nakuru to Eldoret. And it's one of the areas where we have seen a lot of accidents across the years, over the years, a lot of accidents where many people have lost their lives. And a big issue in that area is we have trucks, for some reason it's a truck stop, many trucks stop there, be they on their way to Uganda, Rwanda, or wherever. They stop there,
but we do not have a designated parking area in that area, so that you have now the trucks on both sides of the road. We already have a narrow road, and it makes it even narrower. And sometimes, due to the curves on those roads, an approaching vehicle, and especially if it's a driver who is not familiar with that area, will just come and just like ram into those trucks that are dangerously parked on the side of the road. And you have people, many people losing their lives. So I believe this is one area that would really benefit from these parking bays that this bill is requiring the county governments to have. On the bill too, I see the exception for the petroleum tankers, which when they are offloading, which shows that Senator Ledama has really thought through this bill and through what he wants to achieve, or what he wants the law to achieve here. And having designated their separate parking areas, as the law requires currently, gives an exception of how they can park when they are offloading these very dangerous products that they may be carrying. And again, that just really goes to show that you've thought through the bill, and you have taken into account a lot of the issues that we come across. The bill has also done a good job as far as also having the consequences of contravening these laws and what the fines will be, or the imprisonment terms. So that has also been thought through, and they seem reasonable, but obviously open to the House for any amendments. So, Madam Speaker, I second this very, very, very timely bill. Thank you.
Honorable Senators, I now propose the question that the County Planning, Roads, Pavements, and Parking Bays Bill, Senate Bills number 18 of 2018, be read a second time. Senator Zani Agnes Philomena.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me start by congratulating Senator Olekina for bringing this bill. The bill clearly is mandated to ensure that county governments are able to plan, they're able to construct, they're able to maintain county roads, streets, lanes, alleys, basically to bring order within the county. And there's a big problem with that. We know that from the various counties, Madam Speaker, I've been involved before with planning for different cities, and before that, is where they keep the data, you'll see very, very good plans. Some of these plans are meant to designate so that there's an area for example, industry, there's an area for agriculture, there's an area for burying people. I know this bill is not related with that directly, but even with those plans that have been put into operation, always I think the issue that really creates a problem is the implementation for the same. So again, here we have an issue. We're looking at the drainage systems, you're looking at the pavements. For example, you'll find for some people, they will just sort out the pavement just in front of them, and that's why you'll have differences. One person will have curb road, the other one will have tarmac, and as much as they're trying to create order, then in the process, they're actually creating disorder. So this is one bill that really seeks to neaten up our counties. Sometimes it's easier when this is done at the planning stage. It's just easier in terms of actually operationalization and operationalizing. Because when you do this prior to, it makes it easier. You know, this road goes up to this particular space and it stops. And this bill also looks for ways to ensure that there's access to each of the various buildings, there's a road. But sometimes it's difficult if the initial planning has not been put into place so that we know which house is where and which road should pass where. Having said that, Madam Speaker, still, it's important to try as much as possible to try to create order still within the disorder that is already there. And this bill seeks to do exactly that. Madam Speaker, this bill I don't think will be having a problem of it being termed a money bill at any level. It's clearly contextualized within the counties with the CECs and the specific responsibilities that they have. I'm looking at one of the clauses where we have the provision for punishment that is given, and I think this is at clause 10, a person who contravenes this section. And there are other sections and other clauses in this bill that give the penalty clause. And this here clearly says that there's going to be a fine not exceeding 100,000, which I think is very menial. Though when you move on, it says for every month that a person continues not to comply. So this is then accumulative fine. And then also we have the years if somebody doesn't or somebody contravenes, then there's going to be there a conviction, a fine not exceeding, and then also on conviction to a fine, and then probably there's no jail term that has been put there. It is a fine only specifically. Who is going to be responsible for this enforcement? Who is going to supply the money for this enforcement? Clearly, this bill gives responsibility to the CC, and the provision for giving that responsibility to the CC is clearly emphasized or stipulated in clause 5. But again, when the CC, for example, has been able to put these pavements, or somebody does not follow what they are meant to be required to do, because I think it's important to specify exactly who in this bill has the responsibility for enforcement. If it is left neither here nor there, then the CC himself or herself might not be able to be in a position to catapult the process. So I think that is one provision that needs to be very, very clearly stipulated. Who, what funds, because then somebody will say, we don't have the funds to do exactly that. Who, what funds, how will the funds be provided? Even within the county framework, it's possible for people to do that. Because this level of tidiness and order is what is going to attract people to those counties. And as has been said by Senator Olekin as he was moving this motion, and Senator Kika when she was seconding this particular bill, clearly people will come to this county. There'll be revenue, there'll be order. It is the sort of order that people are really looking for, because this is going to bring investors. If you're going into a county and you want to invest and when you can't get any parking, you might just actually drive off to the next county, which is maybe more orderly. So that's the first point, that a clear enforcement scheme has to be put into place and clear level of responsibilities. But this bill in clause 5 very, very articulately gives the responsibilities to the member of the CEC related to this particular docket, that is to formulate a comprehensive plan for the construction maintenance. And I think a lot of communication, stakeholder participation, public participation also I think will be required for this, because the goodwill will be very necessary. When you go to some countries, when somebody throws a piece of paper out of a moving car, everybody stops and they are shocked. Because the framework has been put into place that, you know, people just don't do that. We need to get to the point where we have that sort of very comprehensive plan, but people have bought into the plan. To make communities move with you, you've got to make them part of the plan from the beginning. So I think a very strong public participation scheme, together also with a clear rip-off for the people, will be important. Because when people know why they're doing something, then they participate more. So that if they're pulled into this, they are told you, they also help integrate that order. The places have been designated, who is parking where. It is the same people themselves, apart from having that enforcer, who will come and tell the piki parking in the wrong place or the scooter parking in the wrong place, you are at the wrong place. Can you move away from here? They will help to identify that something has gone wrong. The issue of facilitating design, development, maintenance of drainage systems cannot be gainsaid. Because I know in Nairobi and in other counties, many counties, the moment it rains, there's flooding, some people can't move suddenly. You go to other countries where it rains and people don't even stop to move. They just proceed with exactly what they're meant to be doing. Ensure access to buildings, very important and very critical, both at national level and at county level. We've heard of incidences where people have burnt in houses because the brigade that was coming that way could not actually make its way, and together with all the other provisions. But I think F is also very critical, facilitating inspection of the buildings, the roads, the alleys, over time to ensure that the gains that have been made preliminarily are not later on removed. And then I think also in 2, ensuring the persons with disabilities in accordance with Section 2 of the Disabilities Act, that the provisions for the buildings, for the facilities, actually are in league and in sync with people living with disabilities and with that particular act, so that these are put into specific professions. In clause 5, each county government shall construct and maintain streets, lanes, alleys. This is so, so important. Again, it hinges directly again on the issue of security. When you have that. So most of the things that have been talked about this bill are actually in this bill are actually gainsaid as part and parcel of organization, infrastructure, roads, parking, buildings, to actually ensure that things are running in an orderly manner and in a way that can promote better interaction, better business, better cohesion, and everything else that is very, very important. Clause 9 is also very, very important. It talks about this whole issue of crossing, where the pedestrians can cross, as is another clause later on that talks about the parking of, for example, vehicles dealing with lorries and all this, and that has been taken into consideration. So very, very, I think very, very specific, even for motor vehicles, where they can park, where they cannot park, you know, an orderliness about, for example, control of vehicles in and out, where they park, also the security of the cars, you know, who will take care of those specific cars in the specific areas that they have parked, and all that needs to be put into consideration. Clause 16, I think, is very, very on spot, because it gives, really, you know, this is where the beginning of the responsibilities of CECs should be in each of the bills that we project for them. Because then it gives now the responsibility specifically to the CEC members. And when we were in Uasin Gishu, we met members of the various county executive committee for specifically, I think we were dealing specifically with issues of tourism. And when they came on the fore, you could see a different interpretation of their roles. Because everybody was being asked, what is your role regarding matter 1, 2, 3, and everybody was given their own interpretation. I think this is a very candid way of also infusing some of the key responsibilities for the CECs through some of the bills that we come with. And I think this is what will create the uniformity within the various county. So this issue about prescribing the standards for construction, again, so that this now not only becomes a deliverable, but also a policy question. And this is critical for the transition of the county. So that one CC who is not there now and then another CC who has come, it's already hinged in legislation. And this is part of legislation also that the county assemblies can take up now and cascade to their specific county specifications and enhance on some of these clauses, prescribing the conditions, prescribing the procedure. All those, I looked at them as very key roles for the CECs and how to manage the county and how to put everything in place. So as I wind up, Madam Speaker, I congratulate again Senator Olekina. I hope there will be no confusion with the road bill, which is on the floor of the House. I think you've made that very clear. I know there should probably also not be any clashes as a money bill. You need to, Madam Speaker, Senator Olekina, as he navigates the area of the monetary aspect, needs also to look at probably funds that are coming directly from the county rather than involving a national exchequer, because that might be moving towards the direction of a money bill. And it doesn't have to go there because the county itself would be able to generate all this. So congratulations. I think spot on, clarity, provisions for penalty are there. I think also transition clause, I saw a transition clause here that for specific people that immediately when this bill comes into operation, then it needs to be already acted upon. I think I saw a transition clause as well. So all that has been put into place. I think we have something that will be remembered for as Senate for creating the much needed order that we need within the counties. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Orengo James.
Madam Speaker, let me also join in congratulating my colleague and distinguished senator from Narok for coming up with this bill, and commend his industry and constant work in bringing motions and bills to the Senate, and he should be congratulated for this one in particular. Madam Speaker, having congratulated him, let me also use this opportunity because it is to some extent relevant to what we're discussing, to congratulate my party leader, His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga, for being appointed a High Representative for Infrastructure Development, and be quick to point out that this position that he has been given has nothing to do with him resigning from politics. In fact, it enhances his position as a politician in the country. And just for the record, in case the people forget, there was one called Jan Ping, who was a chairman of the AU, leave alone being a high representative. He was a chairman of the African Union, somebody who had performed in the public service as a diplomat, as a politician in the UN system, and was a minister in Cameroon, and eventually he contested a presidential election even after becoming chairman. And coming hot on his heels was Mrs. Zuma, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, who was also an African Union chair and continued during that period to be an active and senior member of the ANC in South Africa, and nearly became president of the most economically powerful country in the continent. And we are hoping that in Kenya, somebody will follow Mrs. Zuma's footsteps to not only contest the seat of president, but also become president. And if you look at the record of AU, the people who have been appointed high representatives, they are politicians, practicing politicians, former presidents, and there's a distinction between those high representatives or special representatives, some who have liaison offices. There's a former president who is now the high representative for South Sudan, former president of Mali, and one can continue to mention many others who have been in similar position. And it was not without significance that appointment came on Mashujaa Day. If it was lost on a lot of people who didn't know the circumstances under which that appointment came to be made on Mashujaa Day, it had a political significance. There's a political message which was being sent out there. And the fact that another African president was present, and you saw what he did to our two leaders, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta and Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. So I want to congratulate him to do that. And if you look at the work cut out for him, it has some relevance with what we are discussing here, which is very important about infrastructure, transnational highways, about high-speed railways, about how we are going to use the African skies for Africa itself, for growth and sustainable development. So those who are praying, there are those who are praying and praying that this would lead to Raila's retirement. Woe unto you. It is not going to happen. And they may retire even before Raila retires. That should be made clear. Having said that, Madam Speaker, let it not be thought that I'm using this opportunity to go into other matters, but I think this is a very, very important bill. One of the things that happened in Kenya which really takes us back, if you look at the Kenyan towns and city 40 years ago, whose plans were developed during the colonial times, and for about 5-10 years after independence, they were maintained as such. These were beautiful urban developments. And quickly on my fingers, I can mention Kericho, Eldoret, Nakuru, Nyanyuki, and to some extent Kisumu. These were beautiful cities. Nakuru, even the railway station itself, was not made just for passengers. It was made to be an iconic structure within the city of Nakuru. And it is a city which was well planned. Nairobi, the master plan, there was a master plan for Nairobi in 1948. And if you look at that master plan, if you had kept that master plan and used it for the development of this city in terms of infrastructure, we would not be having the kind of jams we're having in Nairobi. This whole highway between Uhuru Highway, which used to be called the Queen Elizabeth Way, opposite Serena Hotel, there's a line of constructions which have been erected and developed along that part of what is now Uhuru Highway, which should not have been there in the first place. In fact, if you look at those plans from the city towards Embakasi and the airport, we should have been able to have 6 lanes on one side of the highway. You'll be having a highway containing, on one side, a dual carriageway with 6 lanes on both sides. You go to LA, we're very proud to see what has been done in that city. And yet there were those plans for Nairobi. Now, one of the things that has happened in Nairobi is a choked city. You know, if something happens in the middle of the city of Nairobi, there are very few exits from the center of the city. If you go to our estates also, you know, there are areas where even to have the fire department bring out their vehicles and equipment, it is absolutely impossible. The tragedy is that people from 200 years ago have been planning to develop. But in this part of the world, we are trying to catch up with planning, not even to develop. We are trying to catch up with planning. We got it the other way around. I think this universe, the way it is, although a scholar that I really respect, who died just a few years ago, was saying in the cosmic order and the way the universe is, you know, there's no God. This is some universal order, cosmic order that is there. And through the laws of physics and science, we're able to keep the stars and the planets and galaxies together. But I think even in nature, there's a plan. You look at a beautiful flower, it is not just an accident. You look at even animals, you know, somebody, even the human beings, you look at them. The other day I was looking at a species of monkeys in Japan, you know, who live in winter. You know, they know how to survive in winter. They go for warm baths in some of those natural geysers. You know, nature itself has some order. Now we as human beings, we are trying to destroy nature, but also in doing our own work, developing, we are not having any plans to do so. So I think this bill, member who is responsible for roads must do in order to ensure that our roads, our pavements, and parking bays are not only properly planned, properly developed, but also they add to the needs of our population, whether we live in urban areas or in the rural areas. And through this, I think it will be able now to have a legal framework of what is required of a county are not regulated. And I think the starting point for regulation of structures and buildings that are coming up is starting up with the infrastructure of roads and pavements, so that by the time you construct and you're given authority to construct, you'll be carrying out that development in an area where the roads and the pavements have already been earmarked or planned for, or they are already in place. Now, you can see now the crisis we have in Nairobi about these demolitions. The demolitions in Nairobi and other areas that are happening because we are not strictly implementing or executing planning laws and the laws that are in place. But I think they have not been significant enough or set out in such a way that would enable counties to regulate the use of roads and parking bays and so on. So this bill, looking at it, I think it makes it possible to do just that. And I hope that, members are going to find it useful to support this bill. And then access to commercial buildings, access to building other buildings like offices, and then the designation of pedestrian crossing and so on. All this is contained in the bill, and I think Senator Dama, you must be congratulated for doing a lot of homework in coming up with a bill that is comprehensive, yet is not too big for the implementers, and in a simple language that everybody would understand. And Madam Speaker, the last thing I would want to say about this is that the national government should begin to have a very positive discussion with the county governments so that there is no conflict on areas where they have responsibility. And whereas this bill does not require the national government to spend more money or the county government necessarily to spend money out of the enactment of this bill, but looking to the future, more resources in the area of roads and general infrastructure for movement of persons and traffic. I think we need to ensure that more funds leaves the national government. I think the national government is trying to retain even roads which should be county roads within its portfolio. And I think we should have that sensible discussion, because I think if these resources were available to the counties, we would be seeing more positive work going on in the counties. Look at the county where the distinguished senator for Kakamega comes from. I think your governor has been able to do a lot of things with resources. I think since the Kibaki government and the construction of Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital, the national government has not been able to build a new level 5 or even a superior health facility in the entire country, including in Nairobi. And look at what the senator, the government of the county of Kakamega has done. I think they have built 2 modern hospitals that, when completed, if they can have the right equipment and the right human resources in that hospital, I think all the people are going to be bound, Kakamega bound, for health services. In the county of Nakuru, I saw the other day the First Lady was opening a very, very modern hospital. And yet, if you look at what the national government has done, anything level referral hospitals, I don't think there's a new referral hospital that the national government has built in the last 10 years. In fact, other than the ones which are attached to the universities and Nyeri, there is no referral hospital that has been built by the national government. And I think this puts a case for putting
nutrition and housing, but also making sure that the livelihoods of people are enhanced. The target of this type of planning is to be able to create, my third point, I want to talk about this bill, is creating the urban prosperity. I've talked about social inclusion. That's what the bill is talking about. I've talked about the spatial planning. So the first row is as important as the second row, third row, fourth row, or fifth row. Because the amenities that are provided for in all those successive rows are equal to the first row. Today in Kenya, people are scrambling to have a space in the first row. There's no need to scramble for the first row. The majority of planners in other cities, in other advanced cities, are now going for the second row, third row, because there is quietness, there is safety, and all the amenities, whether it's markets, are provided for, walkways are provided for, parking bays are provided for, and everything else is provided for. When you provide these services through planning, you are able to contain the populations and the rush for first row building. And you create the potential for more merchants being located in second row, third row, fourth row, fifth row, even the sixth row. After all, in New York, whether you are in the First Avenue, Second Avenue, Third Avenue, Fourth Avenue, or Sixth Avenue, they have all the equal potential. Whether you're going to the periphery, they are all equal potential. And this is what this bill is trying to do. And when you do so, I'll move on then to number 3, you are now creating what we call urban prosperity. You will automatically find the values of all these areas quickly. Those who are doing hospitality, like what we saw in Eldoret, that's creating prosperity. That place where you took to our senator, Madam Speaker, that little town where they've been able to produce a hotel manpower for supply chain and for the cooks and the chefs and the other people and the hair salonist. It's amazing that you can actually create wealth within a given town. And therefore, what Senator Ledama Olekina said in this bill is wanting to create capacity, wanting to create the ability to earn on-source revenue from your own creation by simply working on the bill. And I think those who are getting worried about the roads bill before this House should rest their mind. These are two different entities altogether. One is about the standards and safety. This one is about efficient planning and how you can energize and be able to create value out of a very simple mechanism. A plot which was valued for 10 shillings can actually achieve a value 100-fold or 1,000-fold by simply doing proper planning. And one of the things, one time when I was the Minister for Local Government, I was confronted with the issues of informal settlement in our towns and cities, particularly in Nairobi. And one of the things that was lacking is supply of water. How would you be able to get water to these sites? How would you be able to get lights or electricity to these areas? These are the challenges because we have not done proper spatial planning. These challenges will continue being with us for many years to come. What has it done to this country? We are now slowly turning our towns into big slums, which are totally inefficient, which are going to create more poverty, more misery, and therefore are not going to create any decent living, any worthwhile living for our citizenry. Therefore, as Kenyans, and particularly this Senate, our faith in the manpower in this Senate, that we can actually create prosperity through such bills like the one which is before this House. All the clauses that have been enumerated here are geared towards safety, are geared towards earnings, are geared towards value enhancement, are geared towards environmental conservation, are geared towards safe housing, are geared towards water supply, are geared towards health, are geared towards other services, and particularly the storm and water drainage system. If it rains today in Nairobi, like today, within minutes, you will get traffic jams. Unless we have orderly way of handling these things through this kind of planning, it will be assented quickly so that our counties can be able to implement this bill, because there's a huge potential of creating urban prosperity for the good and prosperity of our citizens of Kenya. I support this bill.
Thank you, Senator. For the remaining 4 minutes, I see Senator Iman Falhada Deko.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm just going to, everything has been said by the fellow senators. I'm going to echo on what they've said. And thank you to my brother, Senator Olekina. I'm sure people are concerned why I'm calling a brother. We are both pastoralists, so he's brother in that end. And thank you. This was a very noble bill. And I'll speak on behalf of my county. My county actually need this because we all use in main road animals, people. When I say animals, I mean cows. The cows are also using the main road, the main road, sorry. And I hope every county, and when this planning takes place, I really need them to use correctly. I'll give an example, Nairobi. We've got a pavement. I will say example of a pavement because it's not used correctly, basically. And we need the counties to make use of this pavement, the parking bays, and stuff like that. And for people with disability in my county, they will be so appreciative because at the moment we all use in main road, and people with disability may benefit from this pavement because they will use the pavement instead of the main road. Thank you so much. That's all what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I have 2 minutes for Senator Malala. 1.5 minutes, actually.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I, first of all, want to congratulate my brother, Senator Ledama, for coming up with such a noble idea. I think our urban areas in our respective counties are in their need of such legislations which will help them plan. Madam Speaker, I think the gist, because I don't have time, the gist of this bill is basically to plan our towns so that they can attract investment. Madam Speaker, I've gone through the bill section by section, and it elaborates on how our towns are going to be managed. And Madam Speaker, maybe just to delve into the real issues, the bill has elaborated on the issues of the CECs being in charge of construction of pavements along county roads and also national roads. Madam Speaker, here I would want us to look into this matter more seriously. We've seen situations whereby the national roads, the Kenya National Highways Authority does not allow anybody to build anything on their roads. And therefore, I don't know if some of the sections of this bill will be contradicting the roads bill.
Senators, Senator Malala, you have a balance of 18 minutes, which you can enjoy tomorrow. Honorable Senators, it is now 6:30 p.m., time to interrupt the business of the House. The Senate, therefore, stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, 24th October 2018 at 2:30 p.m.